Good morning. So, during my series on healthcare, over the past three shows I did on my journey through the healthcare maze in America, I talked to some really great people. And one viewer on YouTube, we started talking a little bit about socialized medicine and how terrified Americans are made to feel about even the possibility of having some form of national health care, like every other country in the world has for their citizens, in America. And my viewer very intelligently said, we already have it. It's what I like to call socialist medicine Lite. It's basically Medicaid. Now, please, don't put words in my mouth. If you are disabled, you can stop watching right now. People who are disabled and getting government assistance for health care or food stamps or anything else, you've earned it. You cannot work. I am talking about able-bodied, healthy people. So for those of you who are disabled, I am so sorry. I know you want to work, and for some reason, for no fault of your own, you are ill and you can't. You can turn this show off right now. I'm not talking about you, but you might want to listen, because the able-bodied people who take the taxpayer money to support choices that they've made, not unlike you who had no choice, you got sick. But these are choices people make. And they're taking that money that could be spent on you. And I know disabled people, they're not getting rich on their disability checks or their Medicaid. They're not getting the greatest health care in the world, because there's just not enough money to go around. And we have to take care of the mommies, the parents who are raising children in poverty. Well, you know what? Whose fault is that? Okay? Who chose not to use birth control? Who chose to have children before they had a husband and a house? See, I'm old-fashioned this way. I'm really old-fashioned. When I met my husband, he lived in an 800 square foot apartment, one bedroom. There was no way on this earth that I was going to bring a child into this world and raise that child with a man who was not my husband, my legally wedded husband, in an 800 square foot apartment. And I told him that when I met him. He wasn't my husband yet. I said, if we would decide to have children, there's rules. We have to be married. This is me, personally. Not attacking anyone, but I said, you have to have a good job, because I'm old-fashioned. I want to stay home with my child, but I'm not going to be on the welfare or the Medicaid or the food stamps. You have to have a good job, and we have to have a house, an actual house. Whether we rent it or own it, I don't care, but it has to be a house. Preferably in a school district that is excellent. Those was my criteria. And as you know, I don't have any children, not because we failed. My husband has a wonderful job. We do have a house. It's not in a great school district, but we just decided that having children wasn't for us, and we are married. My issue is with people who make choices, and then the socialists like Bernie Sanders and the Democrats say that we all should be thrilled that we worked our asses off to become successful and make enough money that now we get to take care of people we will never meet and their children. Wow. I mean, I really don't feel good about that. I don't. See, I'm more on the thing of personal responsibility. That's the side I'm on. That if you choose to do something, you also need to choose how you're going to pay for it. And that other people, strangers, should not be paying for your choices in life. Okay? If you make $20,000 a year, chances are you probably can't afford to have children right now. But see, this is the other problem in our country. And I'm going to talk about blame here too. Who is to blame for this socialism light that really only started when women started going to work? Now bear with me here, feminists who are going to put words in my mouth again, but I was talking to another viewer who said that the reason we are in the situation we're in right now is when women started saying, we want careers. Now, I don't like the idea that some men, mostly politicians, feel that women belong barefoot and pregnant and bowing down to their husbands. I am not into that at all. But the problem started, and the reason why today a car costs what a house used to cost, is when two incomes started coming together and people started making more money. The cost of things started going up because people were like, wow, there's more disposable income now that the women are out there earning a living as well, instead of staying home with the children like they used to. See, back when I was growing up, most of my friends' parents didn't work, or mothers didn't work. The fathers went to work, the mothers stayed home with the kids. But they didn't live these highfalutin lifestyles either. They didn't live in 8-bedroom houses with 4.5 bathrooms and 2-car garages. They lived in row homes. They had one car. One of my friends, they didn't even have a washer and dryer in their house. They went to the laundromat once a week to do their laundry. They didn't have these highfalutin lifestyles. Having 2 cars was a luxury. Now some of these people have 3 or 4 cars to a household. Even people, sadly, who are collecting public assistance. At least 2 cars. I don't know how they do it. Well, I do know. They do it with my money. And I don't like it. I always get nervous when the government tells me what I can and cannot afford. When the government, mostly Democrats, by the way, so don't be calling me some kind of liberal bitch. I'm against the Democrats on this one. That because we have been so successful, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Luciano, you can now afford to give your money to a stranger, and you can pay more for your health care. See, this is what the Affordable Care Act did, which wasn't correct. It came out presented to us that it was going to be affordable health care for every American citizen. Well, I had to double check my birth certificate. I am an American citizen. And yet, my health care premiums tripled. Why? Because now, the people I never met who make less money than we do, well, somebody had to help them get affordable health insurance. Because it was mandated, remember? Everyone had to have health insurance. And they wanted it, they just couldn't afford to pay what we pay. So they said, well, we'll do this, because the insurance companies still wanted their money. They weren't going to lower their premiums. What they did was they raised our premiums for the exact same health care plan that the family with 2 kids down the street that make half of what we make per year in income, so they could have the same health plan at a quarter of the price and a less deductible. 4 people on the same insurance company that my husband and I have for 2 people, we're paying triple with double the deductible than they are. No bueno. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be happy about this. Some of you are. Some of you are like, well, we owe it. That's the Christian way. We should take care of the poor. We should take care of the poor, but we should not be taking care. We shouldn't be forced to take care of the purposely poor. People who knew before they got pregnant that they were not going to be able to afford to take care of their children on their own. And then you have these mothers, these women all of a sudden that say, well, I'm going back to the 50s where women who had children didn't work. Yeah, but see, there's a difference. They had husbands. There are so many single moms out there who had sex with some dude without birth control. Why would you do that? There are actually women out there, couples even, who say, I don't care if I can afford to have a child. It's my right to have a child. Now, who's to blame for that? Well, let's talk about society and this love affair that American society has for children, especially multiple births. I talk a lot on Facebook about breaking news interrupting daytime programming and never nighttime programming. You want to know when nighttime programming was interrupted? Back when I was a teenager, the McCoy septuplets were born. 7 kids to this family. And they interrupted nightly news. I remember the Today Show anchor Ann Curry really invested in this story. And every time one of the kids, they were live in front of the hospital. It's another one. It's a boy. We got a girl. We were forced to watch the live birth of the McCoy septuplets on national television. It was breaking news. You wanted to watch Dynasty that night, you were shit out of luck. And there was no on-demand back then. You just missed it. Because this septuplet birth was more important. So important. And there were some people that were watching. Like a Nadia Schuleman. Remember Octomom? Oh yeah, she's a real winner. We had the Duggars. And she watched that. And she's like, oh, the McCoys. They got all these contractors. They built them a free house. The Home Depot and Lowe's trucks were pulling up to the house. All this free stuff for the septuplets. One of the motor companies donated a van for them to drive around in. They got free diapers for a year. And then we had the Duggars. 19 kids and counting. Remember the TLC show on TV? Every time they got pregnant, they were on the Today Show. They were famous. Nadia Schuleman was watching. She was like, wow. I don't have a husband or a house or a job. I have 1 kid. Maybe if I had 8 kids, I would get all this free shit too. I could get on TV. I could get book deals. So this nutcase goes and finds a quack doctor who artificially inseminated a single unemployed woman who lives in a teeny tiny house and already has 1 child with 8 embryos. Now, he lost his license, and at one point, she lost her children after they were born. Because what happened to Nadia Schuleman is she wasn't as cute and cuddly as the Duggars with their religious background and the McCoys, because I think they were the first living septuplets ever born in America. Nadia wasn't as well received by the public, probably because she didn't even have a husband. Second of all, she purposely wanted to have these 8 children. And who suffered? The children. The innocent children suffered. Because Nadia did not get the free house, and she didn't get the free washers and dryers. Lowe's trucks didn't pull up in front of her house. The TV news people did not come a-calling. She didn't get on the Today Show. Well, she did when she ended up on welfare and food stamps, and then all of us were paying to support her decision, her purposeful decision to use her children to get famous. And then when her children were removed from her home for neglect and abuse, just because she's a crazy person. But we've done this. We are to blame because we get so freaked out. I just found out on Monday that, Jenna Bush Hager, she just got this new job doing the 4th hour of the Today Show with Hoda Kotb. Well, Hoda Kotb adopts a new baby. She's out for 6 weeks. Jenna just started this job, man. She just announced she's pregnant. And she's a lot pregnant. So she's going to be out for 6 weeks or a couple of months. You just start a new job. What are you going to do? You'd think you would use birth control. Did everybody forget that birth control actually works? Now, I don't begrudge Jenna Bush Hager her kids. She can support them. The Duggars support their children without welfare or food stamps. I still think they're crazy, because all that talk about women never questioning the men and not really having careers or going to school or, doing anything but having babies and listening to everything the man says. That's not me. But they support themselves. They don't ask all of us to do it. But people who purposely have children they can't afford, I don't think we owe them anything. I feel bad for the children, but maybe we are going about this the wrong way. Maybe if you have a child and you prove that you cannot afford to support them, that's neglect. Maybe you should not be able to keep your child, and that's going to cause a lot of thumbs going out, hating on me, but you know what? It's not my responsibility to take care of your choices. Just like I don't ask you to pay for my choices in life. I never asked anyone to pay for my birth control. It was nice when Obama said, well, the Affordable Care Act's going to cover it. Of course, a lot of people started screaming, why should I pay for your birth control? And of course, I screamed right back, why should I pay for your children to have medical care? Why should I pay for your maternity care? Why should you get 6 weeks off vacation and I only get 2? I mean, it goes back and forth. But I have never asked any stranger to pay for the choices I have made in my life. And yet the people like Bernie Sanders and many of the Democrats, they're going to come out during this election cycle and tell you that it is your duty to do that. I remember one year when we were making really, really good money. It was before the 2008 recession, and our taxes were so overwhelmingly high that my husband said, you know what, next year I'm not going to take as many jobs. We're not gaining anything. We're just paying more in taxes. We have to lower our income. So I'm just going to work less. Because why should we give it to the government who then gives it to someone who doesn't get up and go to work every day like I do? And I think he's right. Why should we work so hard if we don't get to keep the money? Why should the government tell me I can afford to pay more for health insurance so that someone I've never met can afford the same policy at a lesser cost? I go back to my viewer, Sherry. She gave me the best thing I've ever heard. Some of you may have heard it before. I'm going to say it again because it's perfect. If I walk in to Target or to any department store and there's jeans for sale, okay, and they're $50, I walk in, my income is $75,000 a year. Someone else walks in and their income is $200,000 a year. Those jeans are $50 for both of us. Now, if I can't afford $50 for jeans, then I don't buy them. Okay? Period. They don't charge $50 for the $200,000 a year earner and $10 for the $75,000. That doesn't work that way. But that's how the Affordable Care Act made insurance work. Instead of being charged by your usage of the product, I use the turnpike thing. If you use the turnpike once a year, you don't pay the same as someone who uses it every day. So I do think it's appropriate to charge people who are always at the doctor, always at the ER, using it more. I think they should pay a little more. I am not saying that poor people should pay what I pay, what we were being charged for health insurance. I'm saying that my husband and I should pay what they pay. It should be the same price for everybody. And that's the difference between true national health care, socialized medicine. Is with socialized medicine, if you are a millionaire and you want private insurance and you want to get the Cadillac of care, you can pay for that. But every single citizen born in that country is able at birth, to walk into a doctor's office, a hospital, an ER, and not get a bill. You want to talk about long waits for stuff? Oh, they wait months and years to get surgery. That's not true. I've talked to people in England. I've talked to people in Canada. They might wait for a physical. I'm scheduling my annual physical. Well, guess what? If I want an OBGYN appointment and I want it for November, I have to schedule it in June. That's how booked up they are in advance. Okay? Now, if I'm having a heart attack, I'm going to go to the ER. Okay? And I'll be scheduled for heart surgery. Same thing in the countries that have socialized medicine. You go to the hospital, you need surgery, you're getting it. Told you about my best friend. In 2002, she had a collapsed gallbladder. She needed it to come out sooner rather than later. Called the surgeon for a consult, just the consult. 5 weeks before she could get an appointment. She didn't make it 5 weeks. In a week, she spiked a fever. And she went to the ER, and as fate would have it, the surgeon she had the consult with 5 weeks later actually was on duty that night and did the surgery. So she got the surgeon she was recommended to. But 5 weeks in agonizing pain to go to a surgeon. I hear from people all the time, if you need a specialist in America, you will be waiting. Waiting. Several months maybe, just to get a consult. Gastroenterologist, very booked up. What you don't get in these national healthcare, socialized medicine countries, you don't get a bill. And after you have your major surgery or you have cancer or you're doing your treatments, what you don't have is the stress. Am I going to lose my house? I got to call the insurance company. I got to deal with how things were coded. They don't have to worry about any of that. All they have to worry about is getting better. Is their recovery. Imagine. And let me just tell you all something right now. Don't let these politicians scare you out of true socialized medicine, where everyone upon birth is entitled, and I hate using the word entitled, but your birthright. It's not a privilege, it's a right. You can go to any doctor you want, any hospital you want, and you don't get a bill. That requires compromise. And a lot of the ones who won't compromise, of course, are the insurance companies who will lose customers. And then, of course, the doctors who will no longer be able to make millions of dollars on the backs of the most vulnerable. In these foreign countries that have national health care, the doctors make a salary. It's a set salary. They don't make millions of dollars. They have a set salary and they live well. These doctors do live better than most of their patients in these countries with socialized medicine. But they're not on this pedestal like we put doctors on in this country. The mansions and the in-ground pools and the vacation houses and the crap. They don't have that. If you're a doctor in these these countries with national health care, you are a doctor for the right reason. You're not in it to become a millionaire. You're in it to help people. That's the way it used to be. And there are still, to be fair, some doctors in America who believe that. They are in it to help people. But then there are the other ones who only care about the money and the prestige. And of course, keeping up with the other Dr. Joneses. They got to have the house and the country club and the golf and the vacation houses and all that crap. And that's a shame. That's what's wrong with our country. Socialized medicine is not the end of everything. It's not death. It's not we let people die. Believe me, if there were people in England and Canada and Germany and France and Jamaica and Greece and Cuba and China and Japan, all of these places that have national health care, if they were dropping dead, I think we would hear about it. I mean, really hear about it. But we don't hear those personal stories. We just hear the nightmare horror stories that politicians who are against socialized medicine in our country, and from other people like doctors and insurance company and hospital administrators who will see their salaries drop if we get socialized medicine. They're the ones that tell us these horror stories, these campfire stories. That over in England, if you're over a certain age, you can't even go to the ER. They won't let you in. They just let you die. Come on. Are there no people over 80 in England? I beg to differ. I know in Jamaica, I was in Jamaica. There are a lot of people in Jamaica that are in their 90s. I met some of them. And they're healthy too. And they never pay a medical bill. In fact, they are shocked when you tell them what a ER visit costs in America, up to $1,500 just to walk in the door. They're like, what? What? To go into the ER? To go to the hospital? When my mother was killed in the hospital, she was in the hospital for 4 days. Actually, 3.5 when you think about it. Over $140,000 in medical bills. And luckily, I didn't have to pay them. Medicare, she was on Medicare, she was retired, and she had supplemental insurance through her job, through her pension, and they paid the majority of the bills, and anything else that was sent to me, I just put it in the shredder and told them, I'm not paying one dime, you killed my mother. You want to keep sending me bills? I will sue you. I'm calling a lawyer. And they stopped sending the bills. Surprise, surprise. Quelle surprise. So at the end of the day, we do have socialized medicine in this country. The problem is most of us don't get to enjoy it. We're the ones who actually are paying for it. We make it, they take it. That's not socialism. It's socialism light. And those of us who have worked so hard and have been successful, and we have paid on our own for every single thing that we own. We're paying for other people. People who have never earned a dime in their lives. People who refuse to even try. And I do have a problem with that. I have a problem with the government telling me how to spend my money. The government didn't earn it. And the single mom down the street who decided she wanted not 1 but 3 kids out of wedlock, no husband, no house. I don't owe her anything. I feel sorry for her children. But I didn't make the choice and I shouldn't have to pay for it. Many of you are going to disagree with me on this, and you have that right. So maybe we should start a new government plan. If you want to support people who are able to but refuse to work, check this box on your tax returns. You can pay extra. But I shouldn't be forced to pay for something that I had no act to do it. I didn't do it. I didn't make the decision. Why should I pay for it? Why should any of us? Let's go back to personal responsibility. Or let's give all American citizens, including myself and my husband, real socialized medicine. Let's give health care as a birthright to every American. That's the other option. But this attitude that the harder you work, all of a sudden you are responsible for people you will never meet, that's no bueno. It's not good. I don't like it, and you shouldn't either. We all work hard. We do. We have all worked multiple jobs at one point in our lives. I know I did. My husband did. Is it really our responsibility? Is it really the government's right to take our money that we worked and sweated and bled for and give it to someone who has no intention of ever working at all. The whole point of socialism is that everybody pays in. Everybody. Whether you make $10,000 a year or $200,000 a year, I like that flat tax rate. Everyone pays a tax bill. No more tax refunds. Everyone pays taxes. If you make $10,000, you pay less. If you make $200,000, you pay more. I think that's a great idea, a flat tax. Raise the sales tax. That way people who buy things are automatically paying taxes. Raise it so that everyone, regardless of their income, is paying some form of tax. Because that's what real socialism is. Everybody working together for the good of the entire country. But we know in America that's not what's happening because everybody is not working. And that's why this socialism light doesn't work. At least it doesn't work for me. Political Paula, out.